Hey there guys, I hope you're doing well. Today's discussion is about the dystopian world of Pantala during the events of the Third Wings of Fire arc. I wanted to discuss this because I think that this was a pretty interesting turn for the series, and I think that it was done in a pretty natural and believable way for the most part. I know that opinions on Arc 3 are rather mixed, but since I'm a fan of dystopian novels, I think I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. What we'll be discussing will be mainly things that occur in books 11 and 12 because the second half of the arc has fewer dystopian elements to it than the first half, and it is interesting how Arc 3 went the way that it did because we generally don't really see aspects of a full-on dystopia before Arc 3. Of course, we have smaller parts, such as the War of Sandwing Succession, and you could say that the way that some queens rule their tribes could be seen as dystopian, like, for example, Queen Scarlet and her battle arena. So, what exactly makes Arc 3 dystopian? Well, first we must go over the actual textbook definition of a dystopia. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, a dystopia is a very bad or unfair society in which there's a lot of suffering, especially an imaginary society in the future after something terrible has happened. So let's break down this definition and see how each part relates to what we see occur on Pantala. We'll start with a very bad or unfair society in which there's a lot of suffering. Now, there are a lot of things that this could be on Pantala. One thing could be the oppressive authoritarian government that Queen Wasp and the Hivewings run as they essentially took over the Silkwings. I mean, you could say that the Silkwings surrendered or gave themselves in, but not really, because Queen Wasp used the Book of Clearsight as leverage against them. Because if the Silkwings stood their ground, then it would be kind of like, how disrespectful of you to go against Clearsight's wishes and not have faith in our Nightwing goddess, or something like that, I don't know. It's hard to say whether Queen Monarch made the right decision or not, because on the one hand, the tribe is now being oppressed by the Hivewings and have very little free will. But on the other hand, if they hadn't submitted, they might have ended up like the Leafwings and get pushed nearly or completely to extinction. And so that really highlights the totalitarian nature of Queen Wasp. Another example could be how Queen Wasp takes advantage of the Flame Silks by forcing them to produce Flame Silk for her, and how she also uses them as a weapon. We see that Luna is taken away from her normal life just like her father, and is then subject to a life of labor with next to no free will. This kleptocracy is very clearly not fair for the Silkwings and pretty much only benefits the Hivewings and Queen Wasp. Of course, the flame silk is used to light up the hives, which, as a whole, positively impacts the silkwings, but we also see that Queen Wasp uses them to start burning down the poison jungle in Book 13, which I think it's safe to say that the silkwings probably did not want this to happen. The second part of the definition is an imaginary society in the future. Now, this isn't exactly the case here, but in certain ways it does feel like Pantala is in the future. Of course, it doesn't take place in the future because it overlaps a little bit with Arc 2, not directly, but in terms of the timeline a little bit. But the way that the world is portrayed to us, at least to me, it makes it feel a little bit more futuristic than the rest of the series, because the Silkwings and Hivewings live in these hives which are great large cities instead of living in more natural environments like Purian tribes, which is all we really know up until now. Another thing that makes Arc 3 feel more futuristic is how the Hivewings and Silkwings are very technologically advanced compared to all the other tribes and civilizations we see on both continents. So advanced that it could be argued that they are almost or as sophisticated as the Old Night Kingdom. The reason that the hives are so advanced is because they have things like organized school systems, greenhouses, a functional governmental system, and really that's only scratching the surface. There's so much more. Now, the last part of the definition is after something terrible has happened. Now, in dystopian novels, these terrible things that lead to the dystopia are usually things like war, environmental disasters, terrorism, technological advancement, irresponsible governments, things like that. And in Wings of Fire, I think that in our case, the terrible thing that happened would be the tree wars. The Tree Wars happened around 50 years before Book 11, and it was caused mainly because the Leafwings refused to submit to the Hivewings. During the Tree Wars, the Hivewings tried to decimate all trees on Pantala apart from the Poison Jungle because it was too dangerous to destroy, and it also resulted in the genocide of the Leafwings. So, majority of the Leafwings were killed, and the rest were forced to go into hiding in the Poison Jungle where the Hivewings couldn't reach them. So that's it. When I was thinking of making this video, I was thinking, Arc 3, Pantala seems kind of dystopian in a way, but the further I got in, the more I realized that, wow, this is a dystopia. I mean, obviously, it's far from the worst dystopia in literature, but I would say that there's enough wrong on Pantala to say that it is. Whether or not the series will return to these dystopian themes, I'm not the right person to ask because I'm not 2E. But if I were to make a prediction, I would say that it's probably not likely since we got a rather positive ending to Arc 3, and I think that we are upon a new era for Pantala with the Breath of Evil gone and such. And also, based on the excerpt from book 16, I think that the series is going to go in a different direction, which I think is great because while I really did enjoy these dystopian themes in books 11 and 12, I don't think that's really, as a whole, what Wings of Fire is about. I thought it was really good while it lasted, and I really liked it, but I'm excited to see what else the series has to offer. So, what do you think about this? Do you disagree with me on Arc 3 being dystopian, or do you agree with me? Feel free to share your thoughts in a comment below. Have a great day, and I'll catch you later.